Hey you guys, it's Mish. Welcome back to my channel where I like to bring you guys along with me as I navigate my faith, fitness, and financial journeys. So today is part 3 of the 5-part mini-series where I'm going over the Book of Esther. So I'm going to be going over chapters 5 and 6. So that means if you haven't caught chapters 1 through 4, be sure to go back and catch part 1 and part 2 and then come back to this video. So chapter 5 opens up with Esther completing her fast. She decides to go and position herself in the inner court of the palace so that the king can see her. He sees her from his throne. He kind of extends his scepter, which is telling her, my dear, like, come to me. So she approaches him and he's like, what is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Let me know what it is. I'll, will grant it for you. So she pretty much just says that she wants to put on a banquet for him and Haman. So later in the day comes Haman and the king go to the banquet. Esther is serving them. They're a little intoxicated at this point, but the king remembers, like, hey, Esther, what is your request? Like, what do you want from me? And she pretty much goes into like, hey, if the king favors me and if he really wants to grant my request, I suggest that you come to another banquet that I'm preparing for you and Haman tomorrow. So the king agrees to this. Haman, he goes on his way. He's in high spirits, but then he comes across Mordecai at the king's gate. And still, nothing's changed with Mordecai. He's still like, I'm not bowing to this man. Like, I'm not doing anything special for this man. I'm going to pretend that the man really doesn't even exist. So once again, this kind of takes all the happiness away from Haman. Haman goes home. He talks to his wife and then some of his close friends. And pretty much what they come up with is like, if Mordecai is just going to continue to be disrespectful and you are in the highest positions of all the nobles, kind of like the king's right-hand man, why don't you just have this, pole inserted and have Mordecai thrown on it, and then you can go about your way and be happy. So during all this, Haman's like, you know what? That seems like a really great idea. First thing in the morning, I'm going to go and talk to the king. I'm going to make sure, that Mordecai is killed by being thrown on this pole, and then I'm gonna go on my way to the banquet. Chapter 6 opens up with the king not being able to sleep, so he has somebody go get his Book of Origins. And the Book of Origins is just a documentation of everything that has happened since he's taken position as king. So within this book, he gets to the part where Mordecai had first overheard 2 of the king's officers, which were Anna and Teresh, saying that they wanted to assassinate the king. Mordecai later relayed this information to Esther, who then passed this along to the king, and they were able to stop the assassination. So the king is like, what happened for Mordecai? Like, I wouldn't even be here right now if it wasn't for him. So in what way did we show him praise, and in which way did we show him honor? So king eventually falls asleep. Morning comes. Haman is there to talk to the king, trying to convince him that, hey, Mordecai should be thrown on this pole and killed due to his disrespect. So the king kind of opens up and he was just like, hey, like, what do you think should be done for somebody that the king wants to show honor to? And Haman, being the person that he is, he's like, oh, like, the king must be talking about me. So he goes all the works, like, hey, like, they should be dressed in a royal robe and they should be paraded around town and they should just be pretty much screaming and announcing at the top of their lungs, like, this is what happens for you when the king wants to show you honor and all this stuff. So the king was like, you know what? That sounds fabulous. And I want you to do that for Mordecai. Like, everything that you just said, make sure that you do everything to a T, because Mordecai, saved me from an assassination years ago, and I realized that I never did anything to honor him. So pretty much, Haman does this for Mordecai. He goes back home and he's talking to his wife, letting them know what happened. Like, no, like, Mordecai is still alive. The king wanted me to parade him around and show honor to him. And the wife goes and she says, since Mordecai, before whom your downfall has started, is of Jewish origin, you cannot stand against him. You will surely come to ruin. While they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived and hurried Aman away to the banquet Esther had prepared. And that is how chapter 6 ends. So if you guys are interested in hearing what happens in the rest of the chapters, which is 7 through 10, be sure to check out parts 4 and parts 5. And then at the end, we will go over themes that were present within the chapters and what I personally took from the book as a whole. And don't forget to take time to enjoy your own journey, and I will catch you guys in the comments until the next video. Bye.